Welcome to St Oswald in Lythe in deepest, darkest North Yorkshire. Hi all, Adi here from Jaunts. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Now I apologise, I forgot my microphone today, so the sound mightn't be the best on this, so I'm going to keep the talking down to a minimum. Beautiful church, says there's been one here on the site from 900 AD and there's some amazing artefacts that I can already spot over in the corner, so let's go and explore. And if you are looking for some family history, there is an index of surnames here, and there's also some contact information there up above, which is really helpful. St Oswald's also has a long roster of medieval rectors, incumbents and vicars. Between the 12th century and the 1530s, clerics such as Hugo Clericus, John de Coutes and John de Gascoigne were living here, and they're documented in parish records. There's the long list of incumbents, but one in particular that was a notable episode was Sir Francis Bigod, and during the reign of Henry VIII, after the dissolution of the monasteries and the land had reverted then back to the crown, Bigod was implicated in a rebellion. He was held at the Tower of London and executed at Tyburn in London in 1537 for what was judged at the time to be high treason. The church was largely rebuilt by architect Sir Walter Tapper in 1910 and 1911, and you can see some photos of the restoration work. But when they were doing those restorations, the builders uncovered large quantities of medieval and pre-conquest carved stones, and they were embedded in the old tower wall. And look, this is beautiful. And they are actually on display, some of these fragments. They date from the Anglo-Scandinavian period, the 9th and 10th century, and we'll just have a look at them now. I'm not going to go into any detail about these, guys. If you're really that interested, please just Google it, because otherwise the video turns into a documentary, which isn't what the channel's about. But that's very famous, and he's called the Gingerbread Man. But personally, all I can think of is, do you know the Muffin Man? Which, if any of you have ever seen Shrek, you'll get the reference. And I love that display at the back, and that shows what the stones may have looked like when they were in their original position. And as always, I find it extraordinary that we can get so up close to these ancient items. Many of the fragments date from the Anglo-Scandinavian period, so the 9th to the 10th centuries. They include cross slabs and decorative pieces. They provide compelling evidence of an early Christian presence and a significant burial ground here long before the Norman church was built. This is really interesting. I haven't seen one of these before, and this is the cross head. So the cross head was a modelled human head, and it dates from the mid-9th to the 10th century. It's a very rare stone amongst cross heads, especially here in Yorkshire, though it has similarities to some Irish crosses. There is no nimbus present to the carving, so it may not have represented Christ. It could possibly have been coated with gesso and painted, and gesso was a hard compound of chalk in glue that was used as a base for painting on sculpture. Though not all of the figures have formal names attached, the ancient stones here, some may possibly predate the Norman church by centuries, but they are amongst some of the finest extraordinary remnants in any Yorkshire parish church. And again, if you want to know any more information, Google it, or you could pause. Down here there's some little information boards that's surrounded down the bottom. It tells you a little bit information about the bear, the symbolism of the bear. And this particular piece is supposedly representing some wrestling figures. Well, the bottom half of them is all that remains. Absolutely incredible. I do feel it's a real honour to be able to get this close to these amazing pieces of our history. There's a lovely crosshead. Some more information there about the traders and settlers. Now this is one of the most fascinating pieces to me. And this is the mysterious green man. Now they're commonly found in Christian churches and they're a decorative architectural ornament. But the green man is believed to have evolved from earlier pagan cultures, and it's often interpreted as a symbol of fertility and rebirth, representing the cycle of life and the forces of nature. But no one can really explain the full meaning of this enigmatic figure. There was also several other pieces of medieval stones, and I did like how they did this display because they're doing it like how it would have been. So for me it was a really easy way to visualise what it may have looked like. So you can see there that piece of stone where it would have sat in the arch. And another piece here. Fascinating. The building we see today is largely the result of the 1910-11 restoration by Sir Walter Tapper. Now Tapper retained only parts of the medieval structure, the north wall of the nave and the east end of the chancel, before rebuilding almost the entire church. And then I got totally distracted by this stone coffin, but we're going to walk around the other side and get a better look at it. The medieval sandstone coffin had lain in the churchyard at Lythe for many years. It had been broken into 3 large pieces and was covered with moss and grass. But during 2007, the coffin was taken to the York Archaeological Trust Conservation Laboratories for cleaning and conservation. The coffin was air dried so that the moss could be removed using brushes and wooden tools, and stubborn stains were removed with a steam cleaner. The stone was treated with a biocide to prevent further growth, then washed and cleaned. The coffin pieces were then rejoined using stainless steel dowels and conservation grade adhesive before being returned to St Oswald's, and it's kept inside, so it'll be here for many years to come. It's a very ornate organ up there, and the woodwork here, including the decorated screen and the gallery details, was crafted in 1910 to complement the ancient stones embedded in the walls. This is some very beautiful woodwork, isn't it? I'm not a huge fan of Victorian churches, but I think this one is very nice. And I'm also going to stop, if you want to pause the video, if you want to read a little bit more about the stained glass window, that's just going to come up, so you can pause here if you'd like to read a little bit more. And it's interesting, the piscina has actually got 2 drain holes. That's pretty as well, the trefoil design. But I've never seen a piscina that actually has 2 drainage holes. Is that unusual? Again, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. It's just my personal experience. I haven't found one that has the double drainage in it. This plough was over here. Maybe it used to be used out in the churchyard. No idea of its significance here. But on the board there was all the different things that need to be done to upkeep the church and their restoration appeal, which is quite common in these old buildings. On the south side of the chancel lies the Lady Chapel, and it's a beautifully proportioned space with this lovely vaulted roof. The east window here contains a depiction of St Oswald himself, reinforcing the church's dedication. If you want to know more, please do pause here and you can read more about the windows of the Lady Chapel. And the south window serves as a war memorial commemorating those who lost their lives in the World Wars. The Lady Chapel's tranquil proportions and stained glass create a reflective space, a reminder that this has always been a living house of worship and not just a historical monument. Walls, there were many memorials to local families, especially the Phipps family of Mulgrave Castle, who were long-standing patrons of the parish. I'm just going to head back out and have a quick look round the graveyard. And just to the left of the door here, I found a Commonwealth war grave. And it's actually for an Australian soldier, Gunner Phipps. And he was from the Australian Field Artillery and died the 6th of December 1916. I often wonder about these Commonwealth war graves, if their families ever got to come and say goodbye. Graves here date back many centuries, and some possibly as early as the 10th century, or if not before, when this ground was used as a burial site. And there's some very big tombs here. There's memorials here as well to the Phipps family, including members of the Mulgrave Castle lineage. There's also a memorial to villagers killed in the First World War, and nearby are the graves of sailors from the Belgian trawler Jaunts, which was wrecked off this coast in 1932. You always find in these graveyards that are by the coast, a lot of the stones are actually just in memoriam stones, and that is because so many of the sailors lost their lives at sea and their bodies were never actually recovered. So their families would have erected an in memory stone for them in their local churchyard. This is a particularly heartbreaking gravestone. So this family lost the first daughter, aged 6 weeks, then another daughter, aged just 8 months, then a son, aged 1 week, and then the father, Reuben, was a master mariner and he drowned with all hands on a ship called the Bounty on a voyage from West Hartlepool to Hamburg. Isn't that really, really sad? St Oswald's Church here in North Yorkshire is much more than a picturesque stop on a coastal walk. It's a place where Viking burial stones meet Norman walls, where medieval rectors once served and where Tudor conflicts left their mark. It's been carefully rebuilt for future generations, yet it still preserves echoes of its earliest beginnings. I do hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm going to wrap it up here. If you did enjoy it, if you could please like and subscribe, and if you're watching from a mobile device, you can hit the hype button, and that doesn't cost you anything, but it really does help my little YouTube channel. And if you would like to support the channel a little bit more, then you can hit the buy me a coffee link down below, and then that helps me come to these places that are a little bit further afield. It just helps a little bit with the petrol. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you for the next one. It might be a haunt, it might be a jaunt. Bye for now.